Jason, when you see Deshaun Watson, it looks like he's going to come back, do some work here in Berea. Would that signify that he thinks that the competition is a little closer than it once was, and he got to get locked in and ready to go?
I think he looks at this as probably the last chance of his career. I get it. Like, yeah, it's a close competition with Shedeur, so you want. I just think that he's looking at this as like this is his last chance. Period. I think had the gap been wider, had he already been named the starter, I think probably the same thing would have happened, that he's just looking at this as this is his last shot. I mean,
Deshaun Watson does not have to say he feels pressure. The situation says it for him. This was supposed to be his job to protect. He had the contract. He had the experience. He had the first chance to prove Cleveland could still believe in the old plan. But now the Browns' quarterback battle is not quiet anymore. Shedeur Sanders has closed the gap. Dillon Gabriel is still in the room. Todd Monken has not rushed the decision. And every time someone says Watson is still ahead, they have to explain why the race is still open. That is how you know the heat is real.
Going to the right place, who's going through their progressions quickly enough, who's releasing the ball. There are a lot of things that go into this evaluation. And, you know, you might see a great long bomb, but maybe what you didn't see was a defender pulling up on the other end to make sure that, you know, I mean, that would have been a sack in a game, obviously. So, you know, it's very difficult when they are at this stage in no pads with no real pass rush to determine who would do a better job.
And that is why this whole thing exploded. Nipping at the heels is not a small phrase. That means Watson is not standing alone anymore. That means Shedeur is close enough to make the favorite uncomfortable. Watson may still have the early edge, but the edge is not the same as safety. If he was clearly separating from the room, nobody would be asking if he feels the heat. Nobody would be comparing every practice rep. Nobody would be turning every report into a warning sign. But when the younger quarterback starts chasing, the veteran starts feeling the room change.
I just come show up every day, you know, so I can't control, you know, coaches. He's the head coach. He's the one calling the plays, and, you know, he got to decide who he wants out there on the field. So at the end of the day, I got to just show up each and every day and be ready, you know, and wait for my numbers called.
Watson can say all the right things. He can talk about competing. He can talk about controlling what he can control. He can act calm at the podium. That is what veterans are supposed to do. But the pressure is not coming from one question. It is coming from everything around him. The money, the missed time, the injuries, the expectations, the fact that Cleveland invested so much and still does not have a clean answer. That is the part Watson cannot talk his way out of. He has to play his way out of it. This is not a debate show anymore. It is Watson and Shedeur on the same practice field, one throw after another, one rep after another, one coach watching every detail. Watson has to look like the player Cleveland paid for. Shedeur only has to keep proving he belongs. That is why the pressure is different. Shedeur is climbing, Watson is defending, and defending ground is always harder when the fans already want something new.
I think Shedeur has come on so strong in the last few weeks that it's making them think, maybe we should see what he can do in training camp before we decide that perhaps Deshaun Watson might be QB1 on the depth chart. I think he's just worked so hard and done such a nice job.
This is the report that changed the tone. Watson started the offseason as the safer option. That made sense. He's been in NFL games. He's seen real defenses. He has the veteran resume. But Shedeur did not stay far behind. He improved. He got more comfortable. He started making the competition feel less like a formality and more like a real fight. And once a young quarterback closes the gap, every Watson mistake gets louder. Every Shedeur good day gets bigger. Every media take starts shifting.
I know you wrote an article about it. Take us through it. Quarterback competition, where it stands, where it's headed, just your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think without knowing exactly what the coaching staff is looking for, I do think it came pretty close. I think you have to look at this as sort of an ongoing process as opposed to sort of treating it like a horse race where, based on one practice, one guy's ahead, one guy isn't. But I do think it's fair to say that Shedeur Sanders has sort of gained momentum over the course of the OTA sessions.
This is where Cleveland has a problem. The Browns cannot make the decision based on reputation. They cannot make it based on salary. They cannot make it based on what Watson used to be years ago. They have to make it based on what the offense needs right now. That is why Watson is feeling heat. He is not only competing with Shedeur, he is competing with the idea that Cleveland may finally need a reset, and Shedeur represents that reset better than anyone in the room. Todd Monken is the man holding the real pressure button. He does not need the most expensive quarterback. He needs the quarterback who runs the offense clean. Get the ball out, read the defense, protect the football, use the run game, hit the easy throws, control the huddle. If Watson does that better, he should win. But if Shedeur does it better, the Browns cannot hide behind Watson's contract forever. That is what makes this battle dangerous. Monken is not judging the past, he is judging the offense. That national attention makes the heat even worse. Field Yates called this one of the truest quarterback competitions in the NFL. That means this is not just Cleveland drama. The NFL is watching, national media is watching, other teams are watching, and when a quarterback battle becomes national, the favorite does not get to hide. Watson has to answer the same question every day. Are you still clearly better than the younger guy, or are you only ahead because people expected you to be?
This is where analysts are starting to push harder. They are not just asking if Shedeur is good enough. They are asking if Watson has done enough to keep everyone quiet. That is a major shift. Early in the offseason, the conversation was about whether Shedeur could catch him. Now the conversation is about whether Watson can stop the heat from catching him. That is not the same thing. The burden is moved. Watson has to prove the Browns should still trust the old plan. Shedeur only has to prove the new plan is worth considering. This is why charting matters. It takes the argument away from feelings. Who is accurate? Who is throwing on time? Who is giving receivers a chance? Who is missing easy completions? Who is late over the middle? Who is making the right decision before the pass rush arrives? That is the kind of evidence that can turn heat into panic. If Watson is better on the chart, he can calm the room. If Shedeur is better, then the whole Watson is still the guy argument starts to crack.
I think Quinshon Judkins, if he's healthy, can be a really good player, maybe even better than that. I think Harold Fannin is already a really good player and maybe a superstar, and I know this receiving core is going to be upgraded. So these guys haven't taken a single training camp snap yet, right, Jay? But Denzel Boston was the unquestioned star of the spring.
The young weapons make this battle even more important. Cleveland is not just choosing a quarterback in a vacuum. The Browns have backs, receivers, and tight ends they need to develop. Quinshon Judkins needs a quarterback who keeps defenses honest. KC Concepcion needs quick throws. Harold Fannin Jr. needs timing over the middle. Jeudy and Cedric Tillman need consistency outside. If Watson cannot unlock them, the heat gets worse, because then the question becomes bigger than QB1. It becomes whether Watson is holding back the next version of the offense.
If Shedeur wants to play sooner than later, I can't think of a better place he could have landed than Cleveland. You've got a depth chart right now where they have Joe Flacco, who they gave like $3 million guaranteed to. They traded a 5th-round pick for Kenny Pickett. They took Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd. They take Shedeur in the 5th. And Deshaun Watson, who's making more money than all those guys combined, probably doesn't play this year. There's not a lot of examples of a 5th-round pick ending up starting. Obviously, Sam Howell got his opportunity after his draft slide a few years ago.
This is another reason Watson is feeling the heat. The Browns are not trading Shedeur away just to make the room easier. Serious insiders pushed back on that noise. That means Shedeur is still here, still taking reps, still pushing, still making Watson work. If Cleveland wanted to protect Watson from the noise, moving Shedeur would have been one way to lower the temperature. But the Browns still need to evaluate the young quarterback, so Watson has to compete with him every day. Shedeur is not disappearing. He is working. He is throwing. He is building timing. He is giving fans a reason to keep watching. Watson can still win this job. He can still calm the conversation. He can still remind people why he was once viewed as a franchise quarterback, but he has to do it now. Not in theory, not from old highlights, not from the contract, from the field. So no, this is not really about one analyst attacking Mary Kay Cabot. It's bigger than that. This is about the Browns media being forced to admit the quarterback battle isn't as simple as they wanted. Watson may still be ahead, but Shedeur is too close to ignore. Watson has the contract, but Shedeur has the momentum. Watson has experience, but Shedeur has the chance to reset the future. And that is why the debate keeps heating up. Because if Watson wins clearly, the story calms down. But if Shedeur keeps closing, every old take starts looking shaky. Every Watson is the obvious starter argument starts needing extra explanation. Every Browns analyst gets louder. Every Mary Kay report becomes part of the timeline, and every practice rep starts feeling like evidence. The Browns are not just choosing a quarterback. They are choosing whether to keep fighting for the old plan or admit a new one might be forming. That is why this battle is dangerous, because the favorite has more to lose than the challenger. Shedeur can gain ground every day. Watson has to defend ground every day. And if training camp keeps moving in Shedeur's direction, the Browns media will be unable to spin it anymore. They will have to say the quiet part out loud. This is not Watson's job by default. This is a real fight, and Shedeur Sanders is making it impossible for Cleveland to pretend otherwise.